Back on the right stand with a very burning issue, ladies and gentlemen. Muslim women have now gone and knocked the doors of the court. There are two pleas which are there. And this is not against Talaq-E-Biddat or instant teen talaq, which stands criminalized. It's now against all forms of extrajudicial talaq. More importantly, the Talaq-E-Ehsan. That means you communicate and the talaq happens over a period of 90 days, and it's a process that happens. Now, what has happened and the current scenario is that Talaq-E-Biddat or instant teen talaq, that when you say talaq thrice and then you try and leave a person or divorce a woman, that has now been criminalized. So it's been banned in 2019. But Talaq-E-Ehsan, that is divorce via talaq utterance once a month over 90 days, still remains legal. Now, what is happening is that there are people are trying to bypass or misuse this process, which is part of personal law. If courts want a civil code or a common code for all of us in the country, because India is supposed to follow the rule of law, then why should personal law be given preference? Because the courts turn around and say, well, this personal law is allowed, so we'll have to give that preference. Muslim women are coming and saying, this is against our right to equality, it's violative of our rights. So what is the petition? What are the details? Let's try and understand from the petitioner herself. She's with us on the phone line. Benazir Nisar is with us. Benazir Nisar Patil is with us. Benazir, namaste. Can you please tell us, when did you move court and what happened with you? What is your plea?
Yeah, I'm Benazir Patel. I have already filed a petition against Talaq-E-Ehsan in Supreme Court, Delhi. So I have received first talaq of notice in June, 16th of June, and consecutive after 1 month, like 3 notices I have received it. So it's not a proper way of format to give talaq to Muslims. So there are laws with Sharia defined. So if it's given a proper way, then it's been saying in Muslim that it's a proper way of the format to give the talaq. But nowadays men are not using it correctly. They are using for their purposes, and it is being used wrongly.
क्योंकि इस्लाम में तो जैसे आपने कहा, शरीयत में तो औरतों को भी इजाज़त है, आप भी खुला कर सकती हैं, और तलाक़-ए-एहसन में भी परिवार भी आता है ना, बिकॉज यू हैव टू हैव देयर आर 3 बैरियर्स, एक महीने की के गैप में किया जाता है, और ख़ासकर इसलिए कि अगर आप मियाँ बीवी साथ में नहीं आते हैं और फिर से आप संबंध नहीं बनाते हैं, सो दैट इज़ वन एस्पेक्ट. फिर परिवार दखल देता है, कंसल्टेशन होता है, फिर वहाँ से जो वहाँ के इंटेलिजेंसिया हैं वो भी आते हैं, मौलवी आते हैं, वो भी बात करने की कोशिश करते हैं. सो वाज दिस ऑल नॉट फॉलोड?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. In my case, it is not being followed. Actually, in Talaq-E-Ehsan, only one pronouncement of talaq is necessary. But in my case, I have received 3 notices, which is null and void. Because let me tell you the proper format. So first, in first month, husband has to pronounce the word talaq, and after that, there is a tohar period. Tohar, it means the purity period of the women. It means like women is not menstruating like in that period, and in that period only he can pronounce.
Correct.
So in my case, in my case, since last 1 year I am not with my husband, and how he know that my tohar period? So if you consider this, then in my case it's null and void. And second point, so in Sharia law, what they said that after pronouncement, you have to separate out your bed, like under one roof. Husband and wife can stay apart in different room, and then you can see, like for 1 month, if the dispute will be resolved or not. And then third step is arbitration, means reconciliation. Yeah, so reconciliation. Correct. So in my case, like since last 1 year, there is no arbitration has defined. There is no mediator. We have tried, like my parents and me also tried so many times. They have not opened the door. So third case is also null and void in my case, because like one man from the husband side and one person from the women side should come into the discussion, and they will discuss. This is the proper format, like. But nowadays it is not being followed up.
It's not been followed up. And the other thing is, did you receive your
Yeah.
notices in person or via speed post and email, etc.?
Via speed post, I have received it.
You received it via speed post. So किसी ने आपको चिट्ठी लिख दी और चिट्ठी लिख के भेज दिया. And in one of the cases, it's the
Yes.
lawyer and not even your husband who's written it. So somebody on
Yeah,
behalf
this
of
is
somebody has
a
written something and sent it to you,
Benazir
and you're
Hina.
saying,
This is a Benazir
"Do-
Hina case. Yeah. But in my
this is
case,
this
like,
is in the case of Benazir Hina case. So
yeah. And one more condition is also there.
so-
If this talaq is
Ji.
given under pressure, then also it is not considered. And as I know that
Correct.
my husband is under pressure of father-in-law and mother-in-law, and they are taking primary step into this to making this talaq.
Right. So you're saying it's not actually your husband, but your in-laws who are behind this whole thing. So there is Benazir Nisar Patil and there is Benazir Hina. So two Benazirs who are now challenging and saying, one, any kind of extrajudicial talaq should be done away with. Secondly, this Talaq-E-Ehsan also needs to be acted upon. Benazir, thank you very much. I'm going to take it to ladies who are joining us live on the show to put more context to it. One of them is Ambar Zaidi, social activist. She's also moved the courts for a common civil court. So she's with us. Dr. Zeenat Shaukat Ali, Director General of Wisdom Foundation is with us. She herself is a scholar and she teaches students Islam. And she is somebody who is very, very vocal against about Talaq-E-Biddat and against it. Nirmal Ambasta is the senior advocate. Nirmalji, tell us what is the petition all about and how is it that there can be some amount of recourse. The court, I'm given to understand, has still not admitted the petition, or where does it stand?
No, Benazir Patel's petition has been filed, but it has not been admitted. Even notice has not been issued. So it's a long way to go. And the petition seeks to first get a declaration by judicial decree that Talaq-E-Ehsan, which is pronouncement of the divorce or dissolution of marriage in one single sentence, and after 90 days, if the parties do not cohabit together, then the marriage stands dissolved. So this is an unilateral process by which husband gets right to dissolve the marriage at any point of time at his will, for which no reason or for no other explanation is required. It is just the will.
So it's just the will, but I'm going to bring in Zeenatji here. Nirmal.
Yeah, please.
But because Zeenatji, let me just bring in Zeenatji, because Zeenatji, I remember we spoke about Talaq-E-Ehsan when we were arguing against Talaq-E-Biddat, and you explained this process saying that there is 90 days, there is a process of arbitration, there is a process of living under the same roof and attempt to reconciliation in the first instance, and which Benazir ji was also telling us. Where do you stand on this? Do you think that any form of extrajudicial talaq or divorce or separation calls should be done away with? Should we just follow one law in India?
You see, no doubt we should be following one law. But, now that we're talking about, these particular cases, which I find very, the cases that have been discussed, if you give me a minute to talk about this, you see, there is a lot of confusion even within what we have spoken. There are three forms of divorce which are accepted in Islamic jurisprudence but not accepted by Islam. Islam has taught you only one method, that is, if either the husband or the wife do not disagree, then they have to make it known to each other, and that is called Talaq-E-Ehsan, where there is a period, an iddat, a period of waiting for 90 days, within which there can be a reconciliation. There are relatives from either side, or there are neighbors, or or the state. There has to be an arbitration council which comes in for reconciliation. And if there is no reconciliation, then the end of the 90 days, that talaq is dissolved through a legal means, and it is one talaq, and that talaq is dissolved. Talaq-E-Ehsan, and this is called a revocable divorce. In Islam, in Arabic, it is called rajai. Rajai means it is revocable, that within the 3 months, either party can revoke it. It can be revoked in various ways. One is, having sexual cohabitation, but there are various ways in which this can be revoked. Now, the second form of talaq, which we are actually talking about in these particular cases, is that is called Talaq-E-Ehsan. In Talaq-E-Ehsan, a man pronounces one talaq at the beginning of, say, January 1st, then at the beginning of February 1st, and then in the beginning of March 1st. So what happens is that and this is called bayan or irrevocable, because once he starts the process, he is actually giving 3 proper talaqs within one period of iddat. Whereas the actual period of waiting is 90 days, he has reduced that to 30 days, and this is what happened in jurisprudence, and is totally unacceptable to Islam. It is called Hasan and it's called acceptable, but it is not. It is like Talaq-E-Bidat. Talaq-E-Bidat, you just say talaq, and it becomes bayan. What does bayan mean? It becomes irrevocable. Talaq-E-Ehsan is also irrevocable. That means it becomes irrevocable at the end of the third time you pronounce. And there can be no, if the man and woman want to remarry, they cannot marry without an intervening marriage. Now, this does not happen in the case of Talaq-E-Ehsan. In case of Talaq-E-Ehsan, in case either party dies, the other can inherit because it's still a married state. Till those 90 days are not complete and it is not officially done, either can inherit from the other, and it can be revoked at any time. And it is only one talaq.
So if it is open to so much of misinterpretation. And Zinaji, if it has not been, and if it is not, the process itself has not been followed. Even in this case, the wife has been actually sent out of the house for the last whole year. There is no reconciliation that has happened. So whichever form you would look at it, it's not happened. It's not happened as per process. Ambar Zaidi, where do you stand?
This is incorrect.
Civil code and the law-abiding country of citizen of the country. I strongly support the uniform civil code and the uniform way of divorcing or marrying in the country. When we got the law against instant triple talaq, and we, in fact, in the entire India, we thought that this instant triple talaq is over. And now we are seeing that the numerous cases are coming of Talaq-E-Ehsan, Talaq-E-Ehsan or Talaq-E-Ehsan, whichever we call it. And Zinat Shaukat Ali ji, how she described whatever the true means and measures of talaq or divorce as per the Islam. But the problem is that the violation of the provision, how they've been violated. In Benazir Hina's cases, some lawyer on behalf of her husband, he sent out the notice to her home that her husband is supposedly witnessing, issuing the divorce every month, for the period of 90 days. And even that notice was not signed by her husband. And while she was pregnant, she sent out of the house, and while she was pregnant, and she delivered the baby while she was at her parents' house. And again, the second case came, the Nazreen Nisha's case. And in her case, the notice was sent out to her father's WhatsApp, and now you just heard Benazir Patel. And there are many of the cases that are coming out that how Muslim women are their rights are being violated in the country where their rights should be equal. But again, due to some political pressure or what, it's still the Muslim women of this country, they do not have equal rights. That is the irony of the country, and we are fighting for the equal right. And you mentioned in the beginning that also the High Court mentioned in Benazir Hina's case that Muslim women have the option of khula. But in that case also, the husband only approves the talaq. Again, it is the only unilateral way of talaq. So hence, I just want to submit my point saying that we need to have the uniform civil code because we all have equal rights. And we should get equal opportunity to reconcile.
It should be equal for all. In this case, you're saying any form of talaq, the right to the right remains reserved in the hands of the man, even whether the woman asks for it or the man asks for it, however. And then you're saying due process is not being followed. We'll discuss this at length. I've run out of time today, ladies. Thank you very much for joining us. But we've put it out there, ladies and gentlemen. Think about it. Tell us what you think. Write to us, and you can also continue to watch us here on CNN News 18 on the right stand as we'll take this issue forward. There are many cases to highlight. I've run out of time. Making way for brass tacks. Stay with us.